The ultimate form of self-love. Let's hash it out. Today is day 81 of 100 days of surrender on my journey here. And it's March 20th, so it's the equinox. I woke up with insane vertigo this morning. That is not a normal thing for me. So the energy is super heightened. Um, but it's also kind of, I think, a little bit of the aftermath of my weekend, what I did this weekend. So on Sundays are sort of, I take Sundays for me. I do all of my versions of self-love. I meal prep, I get ready for the week, I set myself up, got a pretty good routine there, right? And then I always do a little bit of inner child work on the weekend just to check in with her or past self. And so yesterday, I spent some time processing what is self-love. I am interested in living my highest timeline, and I've really stepped into that. But the crazy thing about being human, I did a video a little while ago on when does it get easy, right? When does it get easy? And that has led me down a spiral of processing, what's the human experience? And my conclusion for me, maybe not for you, but for me is, and I've taught this for a really long time, the contrast that we experience, the intense contrast that we experience sort of propels us into the clarity of what we do not want. And with that clarity, we can then start to level up into what is it we desire to experience. And without that contrast, I don't believe that our species would truly propel themselves into a higher timeline. So I've been taking a lot of time to look at every single, what we would perceive as negative challenge or hardship. And I've been putting a different lens on it. I've been putting the lens on physical pain. I've been putting the lens on my vertigo this morning, the lens on every challenge that I am enduring. And the fact that I keep telling myself how much pressure is on my shoulders. Okay, let's stop that conversation. And I started putting the lens and looking at it as, what am I learning? What am I mastering? And I've been pretty transparent about that this whole journey. But I'm really looking at it now as these really solid opportunities to level up into my highest timeline. And why does it feel uncomfortable? Why does it feel like stress? Why does my body hurt? What is my body showing me? So I did this crazy, beautiful thing of looking at self-love differently, and then positive disintegration of some of the thoughts, beliefs, perceptions that I have. And this healing journey, I believe, is continuous, right? We can get the big stuff out of the way. We can get the root of the trauma out of the way. But I feel very much that when we have a big gash in the physical body, so trauma, emotional body, mental body, whatever that be. So when we have neglect, abuse, abandonment, intensive abuse, whatever those things be, that it's like a big gash. And eventually that's going to heal with the right attention, love, and support, right? Which is what I do. But then we have a scar that's remaining. And if that scar is going to get flicked over and over and over again, it's going to become a little bit inflamed. So we sort of hold on to psychic prediction about what it could be, within ourselves. We have this gut reaction that goes, oh, this is uncomfortable. We need to get rid of this, blah, blah, blah. But I truly believe that often the gut is connected to the fear. And our body and our mind, our ego, is just this warning mechanism of this needs attention. So our body just displays physical pain to say there's something going on with this belief structure, because each fragment of your body, each area of your body is really, truly representative of an emotional belief. And so if my knees are sore, which I joke about, my 44-year-old knees, can't get down low anymore. Not that I would even go and try that dance anyway, but anyways, the discomfort, right? Or if I'm wearing shoes that don't have the right support, my knees. And so what is my body showing me? So I had a couple of different things happen. I was getting some eczema, which I believe is the onset of shock in someone's behavior. So I did a lot of conversations in and around, why are you so surprised or shocked by someone else's trauma? and my eczema cleared right up. As soon as I went into disintegrate, positively disintegrate or disintegrate that previous belief that I'm going to get hurt. And so I discovered some really cool stuff. I discovered what I want self-love to be. I discovered some unraveling in my belief structure. I've got my journal right here. One of the big ones that I'll share be very transparent is, as a child, there's this quote from Gay Hendricks, who's a philosopher, very wise man, and he talks about the upper limit, that we will only let ourselves get to this piece of happiness, excitement. We have an upper limit, we have a threshold, and then we've got a bottom limit on where we won't let ourselves go in between. And most of humanity will float in between those two pieces and not understand that upper limit or how to navigate over that upper limit. To really truly level up into your highest timeline, more joy, more inner peace is the goal, really. We can't sustain total happiness and euphoria all the time, but we can sustain calm inner peace and non-reactionary state of being. So I went through a lot of different things, and I have an upper limit on shining. I blew my mind this weekend. So sitting with my inner child and talking about, okay, my goal is to change 1 million lives, right? So what is my upper limit? Where am I blocking myself in truly attaining that? Or am I, right? So I just went down with curiosity into this dive into what's going on with that. And turns out, so like my 9-year-old to probably 18, 17-year-old self. So big gap, like that's a decade, almost a decade of my birth mother and my sister, who I have so much admiration for, but unfortunately none of us are connected anymore. We walked away from each other about a decade for different reasons. It doesn't matter. But this little girl, my little sister, was so talented. She was beautiful. She was the apple of my mom's eye. From my perspective, she was the favorite, highly favored, and very, very talented with some natural skill sets, some beautiful talents. And my mom would praise it and boast to her friends about it and showcase her like a trophy, which I can't even imagine being in that role, having to be showcased like that. But this was from my perspective, right? And so if I were to be too loud, too funny, too quirky, too driven, I would get persecuted by my mom, because how dare I outshine my little sister? How dare I do that to her? Which I don't know if you guys have done any research on glass child, which is usually related to one sibling having a disability and the other one being invisible. But this is what it felt like to me. I felt completely invisible. I felt that I was not allowed, and I love that woman, my little sister. So much love and admiration for her. And I didn't want to take any pain away from her. We were also in a house where there was a tremendous amount of abuse, and I felt like the punching bag a lot, like physically beaten. My tailbone's been broken a couple of times, like brutal abuse. And then there was a lot of mental and emotional and psychological abuse. And then there was some sexual abuse for me as well in that dynamic. So there's a lot of things thrown upon me. And I never saw it happen to my sister. I'm sure it did, but I never saw it. So one, I felt invisible. I cannot outshine her. Two, I'm a punching bag. That was a belief. So when I sat with my younger self yesterday and sort of processed through that, the awareness of that belief structure, that how dare I outshine, which then you guys are going to laugh at this. You're going to be like, oh, I see it. So I'm being very vulnerable with you right now. So then that created a strong opposite in me to be important. So I have this unknowing belief structure that I have to prove, that I need validation, that I got to fix everything around me so that I can be important. And let me tell you, that is not supportive in a romantic relationship at all. Because there's something in there that feels I'm not worthy to outshine. But the contrast, if I'm important enough, if I have something unique like what my sister did, then I have permission to be important. And that creates this ache to be seen, to be valued, to be important. So that blew my freaking mind on the weekend. And I sat with that. And I sat with her for a long time, did a lot of ego dumping in my journal, which is just processing it out. And then, highlighted certain pieces and then came up with, well, what is self-love for you? What is self-love for you, baby girl? So here's my conclusion on self-love. I think that there's lots of things we can do. We have 4 bodies that need to be loved. We have our physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, and that makes up the energetic body. So I'm very aware of filling my buckets in all 4 bodies daily, whether it's 3 minutes or an hour towards each body. I'm very aware of I am filling that bucket, which really has supported me in getting as far as I've gotten, right? So then how do I make her feel important? So the first thing I know you're going to say is make her a priority, right? And I do. I spend a lot of time with her, a lot of conversation with her. I nurture her as though she's with me. And then talking to her, here's what she wanted. Can self-love be the willingness to look at the habits, the choices that are not serving you and create a plan? Can self-love be stepping way out of your comfort zone and surpassing your upper limit? Can self-love be a determined focus to create the best experience possible? So that's what I'm going to do with it. I'm going to no longer accept the excuses. Not that there's very many, but there is some for sure. And I think we all have them. I'd be really curious to know what yours are. Some of mine are, I'm too busy. Because what do I want to be fulfilled, right? I want the healthiest, strongest body. And I love my physical body. I'm okay with my curves. I'm very comfortable in my skin. I love my body. I think my body has done a tremendous amount of love and support in navigating itself and holding and harboring all of the pain that it has endured and the smack talk that I used to do for it. So I'd never shame my body. I truly do feel beautiful in my own skin. But is that my upper limit? Right? So process this for a second. Is that my upper limit? That I'm okay being 165 pounds. I've dropped quite a bit since doing this journey. Not that I'm trying, my body's just letting it go. So can I be comfortable at 165 pounds? Is that what my body actually wants? Or can I surpass the excuses of I'm busy, I require a little bit more sleep a couple days a week? Or can I make an active choice to truly, fully honor my body, to let it become the highest version of itself? That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to plainly state, these are the things I'm afraid of. I'm afraid of outshining. So what happens if I have the actual body weight that I desire, which would be probably around 140, 145 pounds? So it's 20 pounds away. What would happen if I hit that? Because my upper limit is I can't outshine. So I already am beautifully successful. I'm already changing lives. I already have the most amazing social circle around me, the most powerful soul family. I have my twin flame. I have the home, the car, the things that I desire. But that's my upper limit. I won't let myself go past that. So then I started looking at, well, if I had a magic wand, what would the desired list be? It would be, I have a Mini Cooper, which I love. It's so much fun. But I actually really, truly desire a luxurious SUV. So there's that. I think that I actually, truly desire to be 145 pounds. Okay. I truly desire to, I'm getting very close to desiring wanting to live with my partner because we don't cohabitate. I very much desire to have a larger following here on YouTube and TikTok because I've never given this attention because, again, don't outshine. So I evaluated my upper limit and I looked at it from a non-emotional standpoint, from a very, okay, logical standpoint. And then what plan am I going to put into place to allow myself to level above that? And that looks like, and I've been very open about, our journey isn't going to always be easy. It is not going to be easy for me to up my workouts, for me to really get clear on what does my food intake look like, for me to get really clear on having the conversation about my upper limit, get really clear on what work needs to be, what action, what time, what energy has to be involved in creating content and a higher level of content. I don't edit these. I don't like, I tell myself, I just don't care. I'm unfiltered. Here we go. But I don't create great thumbnails. I don't do the things that everybody does. Again, sabotage. So I've got some learning to do. So I created a list of things. Okay, this is what I want to learn. I also want to learn Spanish, and I'm procrastinating the hell out of that too. I know slang Spanish, but I actually don't know Spanish, right? So, okay, what does it look like? It means I'm going to be uncomfortable. It means that I'm going to have to make adjustments in my life and get very uncomfortable to make these changes until the uncomfortable becomes normal. And when it becomes normal, it becomes comfortable. It's not easy, hasn't been easy for me for the last year to get up at, 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning in order to get a workout at the gym and before I start my day. But I'm not really, truly, effectively working out. I work out to burn off steam and I do okay, but I actually have a personal training background and I know better. So I'm not pushing myself out of my comfort zone. I'm sitting right on my upper limit. And in that upper limit, I am telling myself the story to prevent me from going over my upper limit. I'm telling myself the story that I don't have more time and that I have a lot of pressure on my shoulders. And well, that stopped yesterday. So I understand that a lot of humanity will not have the courage or the determination to create inspiration because inspiration creates motivation. And we are very content. Very often we are very content where we're at. I'm blowing this out of the water. I'm not sitting in my comfort zone anymore. And this wasn't my comfort zone a year ago by any means, or even 2 years ago. I was semi-retired actually 3 years ago, just doing divine alignment and the occasional workshop. And I was living in Central America. I was on the beach every day. I only worked from like 10 in the morning till 4 in the afternoon. And then, so every morning I was on the beach, watch the sunrise, enjoy the beach, go home, do some work, go back for the sunset. That was my life and I loved it. And it was so comfortable. And I've known that I've always wanted to change 100 lives. So when I came back to Canada, 3 years ago now, it was like, all right, get it together. Well, what are we doing? And so I've surpassed that previous upper limit, but we can't surpass our upper limit if we don't understand what it is. So awareness brings change. So boom, like yesterday, I just walked around my home being like, are you kidding? Are you kidding? Whoa. And it was like a big overload to the point where I would desensitize myself and just become numb for a couple of minutes to just stare out the window. Like, I don't even know what to do with this. And I had to keep going back to, no, like go back to this journal, go back to the little girl sitting in the chair beside me, my inner child. Let's talk this out. Let's come up with a plan. And what plan are we comfortable coming up with? Because it's not about, you will not sustain massive, crazy change. You won't do it. Your neurological patterns won't let you do it. You'll do it for a couple of weeks and then boom, you'll go right back into old ways. So I started looking at these different categories in my life. And I was like, okay, we're going to start with this. So we're going to start with really proactively surpassing our upper limit with our workouts, that we have more energy, more vitality. Okay. So that's number one. Number two, food. We're going to probably do those together. So we're just going to tackle that upper limit first, the upper limit of outshining. I think I truly have a fear of being judged if I have it all. So I unknowingly, and we all do, unknowingly self-sabotage, which self-sabotage isn't like this crazy thing of destroying. It's moving back into the comfort zone, moving back into that subconscious fear, moving back under that upper limit. I think that's self-sabotage. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to be looking at my upper limit. It's up on my wall. It's up on my inspiration wall. There's the upper limit. There's sticky notes under it. There's categories and sticky notes and action items. If you do not have a plan, you will not accomplish it. And that's the whole point of being human, is the evolution into highest timeline. So a lot of people call it spiritual awakening, self-awareness, ascension process, but it is truly the decision to evolve, the decision to move past the comfort zone and evolve into your highest timeline. So I did that. It's all set. And then the second thing I did was look at my finances. This was super fascinating. I can bring money in like no problem. Can in my personal bank account I keep money? No. I'm literally like, I don't even understand how it happens or where it goes. And I can drag in large amounts. Like I can align with it. I can bring it in and I can't sustain it. So I used to feel that it was my fear of sustainability. Here's what I found out with that. So, oh my God, I'm throwing everything at you. So with my finances, what I discovered was, as a little girl, for the age, so after I was raped, so that would have been like just turning 4, I was then bounced around to a lot of different homes without my birth mother and without my father. The story at the time is my mother was ill or unwell, and I had to be bounced around. I see it very differently now as an adult. Another story. But in all of that, I would all of a sudden just get picked up from school one day. So there was times where I didn't even have my own underwear. As a little girl, I had to wear boys' underwear, whatever was there. There was times where I didn't have my own toothbrush or my own hairbrush, not alone toys or clothes or any possession whatsoever, just bounced around. And I was gifted the borrowing of whatever was available at that home that I was in many times. And so when it comes to my finances, I feel that that's my possessions. And I'm not really a sentimental kind of girl. Like I have one thing from my past, and it's my grandmother's wedding ring. Oh, and her chair. She had this little like cutesy chair. So adorable. Anyway, I have those 2 things. That's it from my past. I don't have photo albums. I don't have photo albums of my babies. My ex-husband has them all, just because of a nasty divorce, but whatever. So I've started like the shelf behind me has memorabilia all over it from gifts that clients have given me. And it's just this really beautiful display of my thank you, I love you, my gratitude for being in the life that I live in. So I've started to collect things. So then that has remanifested into my fear of everything. Nothing belongs to me. I am not worthy of having, I don't get to keep my belongings, was the belief, the upper limit. I only get to keep certain things. And so I have created a home where now I have things physically, tangibly, but that fear will remanifest itself somewhere else if it's going unnoticed, unaddressed, unhealed. So then that fear has gone over into my bank account. It's just going to get taken from me. So I might as well quickly spend it before it's taken from me. Are you fucking kidding? So now I've got a whole plan with my finances, because it takes a plan, it takes sacrifice, it takes some discomfort. So I wrote a list of everything that I spend money on, which I was kind of surprised about. I'm not going to lie. I was like, oh, I'm expensive. And then I put an X through the things that I am willing to let go of and take that financial money and put it into savings and create a nest egg for myself. Because I haven't created a personal nest egg. I've created a professional one because it's there for that, because it has to be, because I have employees and I need paychecks and all those things, right? And I'm looking to buy a retreat property. But in my personal, no, not at all. I'm like, boop, 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 sure. So I created a whole list. So that means I'm giving up having my hair done. I'm sacrificing having my nails done. I'm sacrificing my personal masseuse. I have a massage therapist that comes to me every other week. I'm going to have to give that up for a bit. And then I created a list of things that I'm going to keep. So then I sacrifice going out to the bar. So I'm not going to be going out to the restaurants and bars and fine dining experiences that I love so much because it's so bougie. So right there, it was a couple grand. So that's all over there. And I'm like, okay, that is what is going into savings now until I come to a space where my upper limit with finances is I'm surpassing the belief that I am worthy to keep my own things. I am worthy to not have things ripped away from me. So that is the journey that I am on right now. And I am kind of surprised that I shared all of that with you because it feels very vulnerable, but that's what this is about, is the vulnerability and discovery process. I'm teaching a retreat on the 27th, so Monday, next Monday, about stepping into your highest timeline. And I'm so in love with how this works. Whenever I decide to teach something and I formulate it and I do case studies and there's massive transformation, then I put it out into the world, right? So the group that I've signed up so far, and there's still like 6 seats, I think, available. So there's still space if you want to jump into it. But then I go through another like level of it right before it happens. This happens with everything that I do. It's like, I've got this and I know what works. And then all of a sudden I'm like, oh, we need to be talking about upper limit. We need to be talking about like, oh my God. So I'm really excited to bring all of that content forward on the 27th and watch other people get out of their comfort zone. And we know this, we hear this, right? Like, get out of your comfort zone. Change happens outside of the comfort zone. We have all of these things, but until you begin to integrate the awareness of what that actually means for you, we don't take action. And humanity has this wonderful default of waiting till it's too late. We wait till, not everyone, but we wait till the love's broken, the trust is broken before we try to fix it. We wait till we have cancer before we quit doing habits that are creating that. We wait till we're poor in order to get desperate to make money. Like, there's lots of different scenarios in which this happens, right? So I don't want to wait. I'm not interested in experiencing the heavy contrast. I'm interested in experiencing the truth that no matter what, if that contrast is there or not there, I have free will to make a choice to go above my upper limit and have a look at what's been holding me back and heal it, transmute it, and allow myself to go into a higher loving experience. That's what I'm going to do. That's what I have been doing. But when you get something big like that, like, those are big deals for me, guys. Those two epiphanies are huge. And we can't just have an epiphany, expect everything to change. We have to come up with a plan with that epiphany. So that's my plan. Got a whole wall of what I'll be doing over the next little while. And then it's the choice to put it into my calendar. So it's in my calendar. So an alarm goes off. So I'm like, all right, this is what I'm doing. This is what I'm doing. This is what I'm doing. And I'm looking at it as opportunity. I'm looking at it as I'm climbing the ladder. I'm going higher. I'm not going to look at it, and I refuse to look at it as this is hard. This isn't easy. It's a perception. It is absolutely what lens you are looking through. And so uncomfortable for me, I'm going to celebrate that. The moment I feel uncomfortable with any of it, I'm going to be like, yeah, girl, because you're stepping up. You're stepping up. This is amazing. This is opportunity for growth. And I'm not going to tell myself the story that I'm stressed out or I don't have time. I'm just going to manage it better. So there's that. This is day 81. I'm thinking, because I'm getting close to the end, and I'd love your thoughts. So in the comments, share with me, can you find an upper limit? What do you do for self-love? And I'd be very curious to see if anybody would be interested in, after the 100 days, of doing a 30 or 60-day challenge of surpassing upper limit. I think that's something that I really want to bring to the table because I am loving this journey so much. All right, done talking to Air day 81. We'll see you tomorrow. Oh, happy spring solstice. It's the 20th of March, so enjoy the day. Bye, guys.